Welcome to my channel. Here we're going to be discussing Ableton and how to use Ableton and all the basics that you need, and then so on and so forth. So this is my first class that I'm going to be teaching for Ableton here today. Today we're going to be learning overviews and parameters of all of Ableton and all the basics that you need to know before entering the DAW. When you're looking at a DAW like this here, this is Ableton. This is what it looks like when you open it up. It might look a little bit different with the layout when you first enter Ableton because I have some presets done here. But anyways, so first you open up Ableton, this is what it's supposed to look like. This view would be your arrangement view. This is where you can place tracks. You can add more audio files or MIDI tracks right underneath it. For an audio file, you press Command T on a Mac. For a MIDI file, you press Command Shift T, and that'll make a MIDI track for you. So up here will be our globals section. Up here is going to be your play, your stop, and your record button. Right here you're going to have your metronome. This is going to be how many bars of lead in that you can give it. You can choose none. This is your BPM. You have a tap to BPM. And this is your timescale. So right now we're using 4/4. Right now that's all we're going to focus on the top bar here. So if you select a section in Ableton, you have it highlighted. You press Command L on a Mac, it will bring up a loop, and this section will be looped back and forth. You can simply turn that off by pressing the loop button on the top of your transport. Next, we're going to go over to the browser section. So this over here will be your browser section. This is where you can find all your sounds. So Ableton comes with a lot of stock sounds that they have here that you can go through. Really good to use for production, really cool for sound designing as well. So I definitely suggest looking at the bass sounds that come with Ableton itself. Right under that is going to be your drums. So these are all different drum racks that you can put into a MIDI track. With that being said, we'll get into that in another class here. After that, we have our instruments. So again, that goes off with the sounds and everything. If you're more into sound design and want to make something from scratch, I would go into the MIDI instruments. And there you can see all the different instruments that you can screw with and actually make sound design with. Yeah. After that, you have your audio effects. So if you have an audio track and you want to just put some compression on it or anything like that, they have your compressors there. We'll start from the top here though. So you have your delays and your loop repeaters all at the top here, which we will learn in another class. Your drives, so your distortion and everything here will be located here. Your saturation, again, we'll go over that in another class. Dynamics, compressors, limiters, and stuff like that go in your dynamics section. EQs all right here, so equalizers, filters. Modulators, so your LFO and your shapers, so that changes the shape of an audio file or creates different patterns within an audio file. Pitch modulation, this has your auto pan where you can pan audio files from left to right. Your chorus, your phaser, and your shifter, which is a pitch shifter, depending on the scale that you want to push it into. We have reverb and resonance, pretty self-explanatory. And then utilities. Utilities has a bunch of tools that you can use for automation. So here we have MIDI effects, and with this one here, I want to do this whole one in another class. There's a lot of different MIDI effects. I'll explain what they are in another whole class. They are not needed at this moment in time. Max for Live, again, more instruments offered by Ableton themselves. You have to download these instruments. They don't come stock with the program. Plugins, so these are all your third-party VSTs or plugins that you have installed onto your Mac or Windows computer. Clips. These are all clip segments that are made by Ableton themselves. They're all stock and you can drag and drop them into your project to use certain clips to add more oomph into your project. Samples, these are all samples that I have on my own computer that have been transferred into my browser section. You can simply do that by dragging and dropping folders into your browser. So grooves, when you have a drum line in a MIDI file there, like we said before with our drums, you can create a groove so it adds a more realistic feel to the drums itself. Templates, these are all templates. There's comes with a few stock from Ableton themselves, but I have a couple more that I've also put in here. We will also get to templates in another class. And then the rest are all my folders in which I dragged and dropped into Ableton itself. So first, this is an audio track. This audio track only contains audio files, so only audio files can go in here, like an MP3, a WAV file, or anything of those sorts. Right here is a MIDI track, so only MIDI files can go into this. This MIDI track can be linked with any of the sounds that I showed you from earlier or the instrument tracks from earlier. You can also link it with one of your third-party plugins if you have an external synth you would like to use. Next, we're going to go show you the mixer section. So if you press tab on a Windows or a Mac, you will pull up the mixer section, which brings up this here. This is where you can see all your mixes, anything redlining or anything going awry, right all in one take without scrolling over or seeing anything else. It shows you everything just from here. Very useful if you're using anything for mastering or trying to get levels to another sound. Now we're going to learn some hotkeys. First hotkey I want to show you today is going to be the command plus comma button. Command plus comma will bring up your preferences menu. That's where you can edit any settings that you need to edit so that your recording goes better. If you're experiencing latency or anything like that, that's what you press. So command plus comma. Command plus comma. We're gonna go through a whole separate class of just the settings in Ableton, so we won't touch that today. One more important thing before we end this video is gonna be saving. When saving a project in Ableton, there's two different ways to do this. If you're saving a project on your own computer and you have all the files on your computer, you can definitely save as a live set or save live set as, depending on if you want to change the name or not. That being said, if you want to send your project to another computer or another person, you're going to click on File and then Collect All and Save. Collect All and Save will take everything that's been put into your project and put it into a folder so that all the samples and everything used for this project will go into one folder and you can't lose anything no matter who you send it to. And that's going to be it for the first video there today. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next class.